Charlie Kirk died today. And that's not what I would have expected. Although I guess we can never really expect these things to happen, right? But that is not where I expected this year to go, or this day to go. Now, I'm not here to speculate on what happened, talk about what happened and how it happened, because I'm sure the details are going to come out in the next 72 hours, 7 days, 6 months, about what actually happened and who was involved and how it all went down. I'm not here to speculate on those things. Instead, I think we have a bigger mission that I feel compelled to talk about. A bigger, purpose-driven movement that we need to adopt in lieu of what Charlie was preaching. Now, to preface what I'm going to say, I do not share Charlie's faith base in his life. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a man of God, at least not yet. That's neither here nor there. Nor did I agree with 100% of the things that Charlie said. Some of the videos were clickbaity. I have an issue with that. Sometimes I just didn't really like the communication, but he is a man, a fallible man who is flawed in some ways, right? And not everybody can be perfect. Even if their intent is good, not everybody can be perfect 100% of the time. So we cannot expect to agree with 100% of the things that somebody says as much as we can just agree with the general direction that they are going. So I wanted to say that to preface everything that I say moving forward, so you understand that I'm not just agreeing with him because he's on my side politically or because I share his faith and we're both men of God. I don't have those biases. However, he was massively influential in my life and my ability to think critically on different issues, whether they were his side or the other side. He exposed and gave light to opinions and perspectives that were not his, which is a tremendously valuable and lost skill in the world that we live in. Now, I wrote down a lot of my thoughts because I wanted to make this a little bit more concise. So if I reference down here, it's because there's notes down here on the things that I wanted to say and the way that I wanted to say them to make sure that my thoughts were best articulated and best conveyed. But that said, one of the biggest things that I admired about Charlie is that whether he was right or not, he lived a life of purpose and gave young people all around the world an example of what it meant to live a purpose-driven life, which I believe that having purpose at the core of everything that you do gives you the motivation, gives you the energy, gives you the ability to pursue and persevere, pursue what you want and persevere through the difficult things in order to get to whatever your objective end goal is. A purpose-driven life is how you live a good life. Even though I didn't share his God-driven faith, I believe that he did a great thing by bringing lots of people to faith. I think faith does a wonderful thing for many, many people. It has saved many people's lives. I've witnessed it firsthand with a lot of the people that I know in my circles that I'm friends with. Right? I think he did a wonderful job bringing lots of people to the gospel and helping them change their lives for the better because of it. And even though I don't share his faith in that, I do believe that those were good works. He was extremely well-read and was an excellent example of what it meant to be knowledgeable and be able to orate those thoughts in a world that values mostly headlines and talking point style communication and debate, and you just don't really get deep with those things, and I feel that Charlie did an exceptional job at being very articulate in his arguments and forcing the standard to go up. When he would debate people, he would force people to come to him with more articulate arguments, which ultimately makes for better conversation because of his knowledge level. And if he was given a good point, he would address that point and would give every opportunity for alternate opinions to be heard in every way. I believe that was great works. He stood on principle, though, and when he genuinely disagreed with somebody, he was able to still be respectful and yet stand his ground and say, I disagree with that, and I believe that you are wrong. However, we can agree to disagree, and was always respectful in those conversations. And that is a great example of how to react to things without being emotional and operating from a place of genuine conviction and belief and knowledge, as opposed to emotion and lack thereof, I guess. His long-form conversations with people to promote genuine critical thought and good faith debate on his channel were critical to my journey and my knowledge base over the years. I watched his debates to hear perspectives, not only his, but also other people's, to see what the genuine arguments were in the real world. We can get caught up in this social media game of believing that one side believes certain things that are not true. It's true for my people. I say my people. It's true for more conservative individuals. Liberals and left-leaning people believe certain things that we believe that I don't believe most of us do. Same thing that I'm sure there are beliefs that I think that side holds that that may not necessarily be true. So watching his good faith debates were a great way for me to actually get a temperature check on what people are saying and what concerns people actually have in the real world, right? And I think that was a great way for people to understand each other so that we could have articulate, good faith-based conversations around those topics. And I say good faith-based, I don't mean faith as in God, I mean good faith as in I genuinely want to understand you, you genuinely want to understand me, and we're having a good faith dialogue. I don't mean that in a religious term. All of that said, his death cannot be for nothing. We cannot just move on tomorrow. His 2 kids shouldn't be fatherless just for this to be brushed under the rug like the first Trump assassination attempt was brushed under the rug and we haven't heard about it. His wife shouldn't be widowed just for the world to move on and continue spreading the hate that got Charlie killed in the first place. His family and friends shouldn't have had to see him get killed live just for his name to be forgotten. Charlie had one incredible skill, an ability to take complex topics and communicate them clearly and concisely. Not only that, but he knew how to capture attention and effectively spread the word of his convictions clearly and concisely. When people like Charlie are consistently compared to Nazis and the worst people in the world, you are bound to radicalize some people who believe that people like that are better off dead. People like Charlie are better off dead. Now, of course, this, and I'll be a little speculative here, this could have been a random radical individual who, offed Charlie how he did. There's also a few other possibilities, and I'll have some fun and speculate here. First one that I wrote down is this was an operation designed to scare like-minded people to Charlie, people who think the way that Charlie does or believe what he believes, to stay quiet. A reminder of what could happen to you if you speak out and get enough attention, if you speak out of your opinions the same way that Charlie did. It's an attempt to scare us to stay silent. The second option is this was an operation to silence an extremely influential figure in young culture, which certain groups are doing everything they can to brainwash in culture. There's a certain group that is trying their best to dull the critical thinking ability of the younger generation, i.e. me and my people, right? Everybody a little bit younger than me, all the way from down to, 10, 12, 14 years old, up to 25 and 26, 27-year-olds, right? That entire span of people, there's a big attack on our generation to dull our ability to critically think. And I'll get into some of those issues in a second because I wrote those down. And I think that Charlie was a big influential figure in the way that this generation is thinking and this generation's ability to learn and the things that they were thinking about and the things that were becoming important to them. And I think there's a chance that needed to be silenced. So it could have been a radical individual. It could be a way to scare people who believe what he believes into not speaking about what we believe and not speaking out about our beliefs. Or 3, it was an operation to silence somebody who was making us think a certain way, which in theory, eliminating him does both of those things, but the motive is unclear. That said, if you have any other fun theories, put them in the comment section down below. Would love to hear what you guys are thinking about. Those are my speculations, but we'll see what actually happens. I don't know anything. Over the years, we've seen moves that actively are meant to destroy our country and the people inside of it. We saw the lockdowns during COVID, removal of education for literal years, and the modification of hormones in young children and adults, and the removal of their identity, their personal identity. This is where things get a little bit interesting. I wrote this down because I want to be very clear about what I'm saying here. I believe that this is intentionally designed. The transgender movement, as an example, is designed to remove objective truth and grounded identity in people, which contributes to their purpose and meaning in life. It's designed to make people emotionally unstable by removing a foundation in which they can revert to in tough times when things are difficult for them. It removes the ability for someone to know who they are objectively and adds in a component of insecurity, which we see in their need to be affirmed. The removal of education for multiple consecutive years through the pandemic was designed for two reasons that I can see. And I know that I can probably be corrected. So if you know something that I don't and want to correct me, please do it in the comment section down below. Seriously, I'm here to learn. These are just my beliefs at this time. The first reason is dulling critical thinking and learning abilities in young people. When you're unable to think critically, you're not going to be able to ask questions about the things that are right in front of you. And simply because you don't know how to question those things. Sorry, I had to read my notes to make sure that I was getting this talk correctly. Because you don't know what to question. And once they've gotten you to accept that there's no objective truth, which is what I've talked about beforehand, like in the transgender ideology movement, for as an example, once they've gotten you to remove the foundation of truth, the things that we know to be true, they can make you believe almost anything. And so it's easier to make you believe anything else that they put in front of you, especially when you lack the critical thinking skills. The second reason is removing people's knowledge of history. History repeats itself in cycles. When you don't know history, you can't predict what's coming. When you can't predict what's coming, you're not going to take motion to stop it. And if you don't take motion to stop it, it happens. So if we don't know history, we can repeat it. I'm no history scholar, and I don't know as much history as I probably should, but there's a very clear pattern in what's actually happening. And I do want to learn a little bit more before I dive into those details to make sure that I'm accurate in the things that I say. So I'm not going to speak on that right now because I don't think I know quite enough to make an articulate argument in that way. All that to be said, Charlie spoke out on his convictions against these issues and was monumental in leading young people towards a journey of critical thinking and their journey of learning. And for this reason, he was silenced. Whether by a radical individual, organization, a complex operation, but this has to be a turning point. Here's the thing. The silent majority does not exist. Silence is how we got here in the first place. By not speaking the things that we know to be true or the things that we believe in and have conviction in is how thoughts that we don't believe in are able to take root, because those people do speak their convictions, they do speak their beliefs. And when we don't say anything to oppose it and rely on government and other bodies and people to do our bidding for us, we lose the root that we have in culture. Now, it's our responsibility to speak up, to speak loud, and to take action against violence like this. Now, of course, I get plenty of DMs from people who disagree with me, so I don't have, I have my fair share of disagreements. Excuse me. I have my fair share of disagreements. However, I get a lot of DMs from people who say that they agree with me, and we have conversations in my DMs inbox and in my text messages and in my email where they believe what I believe what they believe. We are in tandem, in lockstep with the things that we believe to be true, and yet they do not speak out on their social media feed. They don't speak out in their groups because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to, they want to avoid conflict. They don't want to cause problems or rifts. The problem is if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. I don't remember who said that. And I'm really upset I don't remember who said that because it's like a really obvious quote. Man, that's unfortunate. But You have to stand for what you believe in, right? You have to be the example. You have to lead others. You will either be somebody who follows or you will be somebody who leads. And right now, we need leaders. No one is coming to save us. No one is going to ride in on their chariot and horse and change all of this and magically make the problem go away. That will not and it cannot happen. The revolution was fought by people, not the government of those people. It was the people against the government. Lock that in for a second. It was not the government fighting for the people that got us out, right? It's our responsibility to stand for the things that we believe in 100% of the time. It's like I said, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Not my quote. Wish it was. Super badass. Love it. No one is coming to save you. Not this administration, not your local council, not your family, not your government. It's up to us. It starts in your home, and it starts with you. Go out. Say what you believe. Be uncomfortable. And don't let Charlie's death be for nothing. Because no matter what you believe, no matter what you agree with him with, disagree with him on, no matter what your perspective is on who he was, his character, no matter any of that, he said what he believed, and he stood on those beliefs in which he stated. And then he proclaimed them out loud to people while giving them an opportunity to voice their opinion in return. And that is the foundation of the country that we live in. We cannot lose somebody as influential as Charlie and allow it to just be brushed under the rug. We cannot move on and just allow it just can't be for nothing. Because one of the loudest figures in our cultural landscape today was just removed from society. And his voice will never be heard again on any issue moving forward at all. So now, instead of being able to rely on him, among others, to voice the opinion that you believe and allow him to be the one that moves the needle in culture, now it is up to you. It is up to me. It is our joint responsibility to move the needle in culture on the things that we believe in. This quote stood out to me earlier, and I think it's super relevant. If you cannot defend a belief, it is not yours, it is somebody else's. So now is the time to really question your beliefs, to grill them, to break them apart, to find what makes them your convictions and your beliefs. And at the end of that process, you should be able to know what you stand for and what you don't. And if you're unsure, start asking questions. Ask questions to people. Have good faith conversations. But determine what those beliefs are. Speak them out loud, and do not be afraid of disagreement. Because when people disagree with you, it is not a fight. It is an opportunity to understand. But understanding does not mean agreeing. Because in order to truly, just like I said, if you cannot defend a belief, it is not yours, it is somebody else's. If you could not defend the belief from the other side, you do not understand the belief. So if you're going to sit here and say that you disagree with something, and yet you don't know enough about it to also be able to defend it, sort of, you do not understand the belief. So a disagreement is an opportunity to understand. It's not an opportunity to fight. It is not an opportunity to make your point. It is not an opportunity to ring somebody out in front of a crowd. It is your opportunity to understand where they are coming from, ask questions, and still Stand on your belief system and say, I don't agree with you, but I can understand where you're coming from. But you have to stand on your beliefs. You have to stand on them publicly. And if you don't do that, Charlie's death was for nothing. Because he was a clear, shining example of what it meant to stand on your laurels, say what you believe, say it proudly, and also know how to have respectful discussions around disagreements. So go out there, be the example, and don't let Charlie's death, his fatherless children, his widowed wife, and his friends and family who now do not have him, don't let all that be in vain. Go out. I'll say it again. Be the example. I think that's everything I had to say. Yeah. It's sad, man. It's really sad.